As the water came down the pipeline into the flat area, the air from the end had no way to get back up the pipe. An added advantage of this idea was that it presented an easy way to control the flow and monitor the quantity of water flowing into the meadow. We were also experiencing air getting into the intake part of the pipeline in the form of small bubbles. These would collect in the flexible pipeline and cause the pipe to float and again create an airlock in the highest parts of the pipe. So we decided to drive fencing posts into the creek bed and tie the flexible pipe down with galvanized wire and weight it all down with rocks. This got the water flowing really well, and by closing the gate at the end, we could occasionally open screw-sealed vent holes, which we positioned at the high points in the uneven grade of the pipe. The water would fully displace any air which had migrated in through intake air bubbles, and the vent holes were resealed. This occasional process became more important as winter set in to keep the water flowing fully in the pipe and prevent it from freezing. When the gate at the end of the pipeline was reopened, the flow in water was greatly increased due to the weight of water pulling additional supply into the feed end, and our concern about supply was fully overcome. Our design of standpipe and rubber in the collection pond has worked quite well to remove any silt sediment which collects above the weir. We can easily clean it all out to below the weir to prevent silt entering the pipeline. There is always persistent organic debris that floats on the water, and this tends to clog the intake screen, so the water bounces off it and doesn't enter the pipeline. At the powerhouse, it is apparent that this is happening when you see the pressure drop below the nominal pressure. The screen can be periodically cleaned with a simple brushing, and the pipeline pressure is restored by the pipeline being full. After more than a year, it was time to replace the window screen as it was starting to wear through. Here's an example of some of the organic matter that gets filtered by the screen. With a new piece of screen installed, we decided to try a different kind of molding to hold the upper side of the screen. Our first molding tended to boost the water up and down into the screen, and then it would bounce off any lodged debris and out of the intake barrel. Our hope was that a flat flow would prevent this loss. It seemed to work when we first installed it, but this method eventually proved to not be any better and clogged the screen as well. As winter set in, another issue became apparent: icing. So it was time to execute our original plan, and we took delivery of a custom-made Coanda screen. I will post a contact link for our source in the space below. It arrived just in time, and it was sturdily made out of welded stainless steel. Wedge-shaped wire is welded at an engineered angle with precise openings to cut the water as it flows over it. Once installed, it completed our original planned design. As the water flows over the screen, organic debris is captured and often cleared by the water flow itself. This greatly reduces the frequency and need to clean the screen, which when needed is easily accomplished with a brush. We also installed small aluminum fins to direct the water away from the mounting strips on the sides and minimize any water that would be lost down the sides. As temperatures dropped and winter became more severe, another value of this choice became clear. Ice buildup in sub-zero temperatures becomes quite severe. This requires some aggressive action to remove the ice. It is doubtful the window screen would have been robust enough to endure this sort of removal. The stainless steel Coanda screen handles it with no problem, and cleaning it with a brush remains the same. You would think that in sub-zero temperatures the water would just freeze, but several readings with different gauges at different points proves that moving water even though it is well below the freezing point, does not freeze and continues to flow. So, as the winter winds fiercely blow and the snow levels continue to rise, we are presented with an endless variety of frozen water shapes, but the water continues to flow. The occasional trip up to the water intake and removal of heavy collections of ice has kept us healthy with the effort. Even though there are 4 or more feet of snow, our source of power remains within our grasp, providing an abundant source of electricity which can be used to keep us cozy and warm. This has been a lifelong dream to be energy self-sufficient, and now the system is nearly complete. There are still a couple of things to add and a few problems to be explained, but now that we have a secure source of both off-grid electricity and passive solar power, we are free to enjoy the magic that living in nature provides. Our hope is that you have found all of this